Hey everyone, in this video we are going to be classifying datasets. And when I say dataset, I mean files, views, not just database files, but external files, file groups, sets of data. So just like the database video, we are going to classify and then work on some code. Code is similar to our, create unit, create subject, is it in this case, and create single table, except we're just going to insert the records into our dataset table for now. I don't want to tokenize this script, replace it, and build this clunky mess, because we're going to later on create templates in our dataset and data point tables that will drive themselves. So there's no point in doing unneeded work here. We're just trying to move forward in our information schema. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so here is a list of all the key names from system realm to system, database realm to database. And what I'm trying to show here is that we do not need to repeat these key names because we already have them when we're talking about datasets. We don't need to say a t-sql dataset. It's going to be an extension of this, so we have all of these classifications plus dataset classifications. So the realm of a dataset, you have to think about what it is. So it's a table, a view, a file, or a file group. And for the class, right now, I'm just going to use common, and I'm not going to put anything for the family because they don't have a use for it. And the type is going to be what we've programmed before, our base, realm, class, family, and type, and shared, which we'll get into at a later point. So once again, it's perfectly acceptable for me to use unassigned as my family. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter in my records for these things I just mapped out, these classifications, making sure that in my realm I start to add my abbreviations, those prefixes that we've been using on our objects. TBL for table, V for view, I know we haven't gotten there yet, FS for file, FG for file group, I do know we've gotten there. And then for my class, I'm just going to focus on the table realm. So for my class, I'm just going to create a common record for the table realm, and then family unassigned for the common class under the table realm, and then my base class family type. So thinking about that first select statement that we had seen, we will have the ability to look for local type tables, local base tables, local archive tables. We have this huge or very extensive, almost group by, but we're not going to use group by, different slices, a dimensional model, if you will, that we can pull at any level as long as we classify it. So in terms of how to classify data, when we're connected via parents, we don't have to do a lot of repeating of the key names and the concepts. So now I'm going to go into the database create unit procedure, and I'm going to use this as my template to create the dataset single. And I'm going to be expecting a subject name like dataset, a subject type abbreviation, which will be reference in this case, the dataset name or dataset type name, and I'm going to, I don't remember if I did generic key, so I'll just do that again. I think I did. The dataset type name will be, realm, class, family, type, or base, or shared, and the database ID to let us know where we need to actually create this table. So for my variables, I believe, let's see, I'm gonna copy the insert statement and if statement from the create single because we've already done most of this code. Why do it again? And I actually should have used that as my template instead, but it's okay. We're not gonna run any scripts yet because we don't have the capabilities. I don't want to tokenize those generate scripts that we've done, because it's just wasted time. And then I'm just kind of going through here and replacing what was a database's parent and database type ID with dataset. So dataset's parent's a database, and we'll have dataset type ID. And I am adding logic that we'll have to take care of in tech debt video, where I am building the table name from the abbreviation, and we want to get rid of that. And I actually have to do something else. I have to add an if statement to this dataset type name, because if it's base, we don't have a dataset base table. We have a dataset table. So if it's coming in as base, we're going to clear out that type ID or that type name. And I'll just copy this code and use it in my if exist statement. And I can change my RCFT base snippet that I had used in my previous one to table in common. And in this case, we are not even putting a family key name in there. That's why I really like using where in, is you don't have to be precise at every single level, which allows us to just say, hey, any family that's under common. So it looks like I do need the dataset type ID as one of my declare variables. And it looks like that's it. Sometimes you can kind of work backwards and say, all right, what is being sent in and what do I actually need? So now I'm going to use the create unit as my template, and it's going to get a subject ID. So the subject table that we created in the last video, we're going to get all the information from that ID. So we can enter a record into the subject table and pass it forward, pass the subject ID forward, and it will create our tables for us. So in order to do that, I need the subject type ID, the subject family ID, I need the type abbreviation because my procedure requires the abbreviation, and the dataset type name. Let's see, I'll just declare these out. UDT, generic key. This will be my database ID. This will be generic text, and I copy. We'll just get that information. So querying the subject type table where the subject type ID is in. And then we're going to select the subject ID or subject type ID from the subject table. And we do still have to use system main because we do not have our synonyms up yet, where the subject ID is the incoming parameter. I'm just going to clear these couple line or couple letter aliases, and we will want the subject type ID, the subject type abbreviation. It should be sysref, and the subject family ID. And this will be a very common process. When you use a join, you're basically making SQL wait for your join to complete. And as it's joining, it's doing the same thing that you could do outside of a join. It's for each row, match on the on statement or the on clause. So doing it separately, we're like picking the record, the page up, and putting it down. So in the next statement, I'm just calling the family key name instead of trying to compile all these tables together. And, it does wonders for high volume access, like 1,000 people waiting on a 15 millisecond call to complete versus 1 millisecond calls, continuous calls. It really does balance that out. And I just realized that I need some subject information, so I took that where clause out, and I will get the subject ID from the subject table and the database ID from the subject table. So now I can just call the dataset table create single we just created, and dev.art SQL complete will fill in the rest for me, and I'll just do some formatting and get those variables passed in. So, oh, looks like I didn't declare the subject name either. I'm dropping the ball. I gotta make some more snippets, so this becomes a little more, I don't know, fluid, at least. So declare my subject name and get my subject name from the subject table. So for this create single, when we get the family key name, we're gonna say if the family key name is our CFT, then we're going to create the realm first due to foreign key relationships, then the class, then the family and type and base table. But what we're actually doing here is when we can create tables using the data point table and we don't need to tokenize scripts the way that we have been, we can come in here and create a relationship and just say, you know, for each item in the relationship, call this procedure using that child of that item. So we could say if our CFT, it'll go out to relationship table, pull in 5 IDs and just loop through them, and it will know what to do. So that's the level of abstraction that we're going to be getting into. And I'm just going to make sure that this code works. So I'm going to select my information from the subject table and the dataset table just to show what I have now. So I have 1 through 8 and nothing up my sleeve. So I'll call this the create subject that we just made. Make sure that my data is in there, and I'll call it for the second ID twice just to make sure it's not duplicating information. And now I could just take my time and do the rest instead of building a cursor or something. So that's going to be it for this video. I know these videos are kind of stretching, so I think the next video I'm going to do one on SQL Complete so I can build my snippets to move through these videos a little faster and keep the time low. So thank you very much. Thank you once again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Remember, like this video to share it with other users in our industry, and subscribe to support me. You have a good one, and I'll see you next time.